Welcome back to Mindset Master Moments, the top 1% podcast where we lean all the way into real stories, raw truth, and powerful breakthroughs. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa White, the number one mindset disruptor, and I want you to buckle up for this conversation. It speaks to the deepest parts of us, the part that's searching for peace after storms that we all go through in life. My guest today is no stranger to Mindset Mastery Moments. She is someone whose courage show up not just in her military service, which we are so proud and grateful to her for, but in her personal healing journey as well. Dr. Chrissy Emerick is a retired U.S. Army lieutenant colonel and a PhD in philosophy. I'm so proud of her. After serving in Iran and experiencing trauma firsthand, she discovered a trauma resolution method that shifted everything, and now she's using it to help others heal. This episode is about reclaiming peace, challenging what we think healing is supposed to look like, keyword supposed to look like, and learning how to align the mind and the nervous system for lasting transformation. Dr. Chrissy, we are so happy to welcome you back to Mindset Mastery Moments.
You got to heal. I love that you're talking about this because our chief scientist at MAP, the officer in charge of all of our science, she's a biomedical engineer, and this is her passion.
You gotta have her on.
Yeah, you should. Christina's great. Her passion is healing the body, the heart through the mind. She genuinely feels it, and she's so passionate about it. And this is her niche. This is what she wants to do. And she loves MAP. She's been supporting it for ever. And this is what we're working towards because she believes it's possible. And she knows from her research and what she's done, she was, she's a graduate of Duke, and she's all about it. She just 100% in line with what you're talking about, right?
Change everything. That's why we started MM360, Mindset Mastery 360. We call it a global movement, but it's now officially a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization to facilitate this type of work. Because I want to impact socioeconomic development across the globe. That is my vision. But I went down years and years ago, before I was even in this level of empowered space, even from the classroom when I taught pre-K, and I realized the breakdown came from hurt, broken people. And it's not that they were broken, the brokenness inside of them, because it's not the person that's broken. There's brokenness that comes from trauma. And so I just interviewed Dr. Chrissy, Dr. Brian Allman. I don't know if you're familiar with him and the ACEs.
No, I have to check it out.
They were the ones who developed the ACE process, which for me, I'm just having a glorious week because you got me in a conversation, a 2-part episode about ACEs, and now I'm talking MAP. You're talking everything that makes sense to me because when it comes to the globe, Dr. Chris, we do have a global audience here. People are in the Philippines, Africa, countries like Madagascar, and places where it's just small towns and villages, but they're able to listen to these episodes. It's some of them, right? And they say it's something they would never know how to position. They would never know they couldn't figure out what to do with themselves without this kind of podcast. And so when my question to you is, which we're going to probably talk more of, is what would you say and how can we support our viewers and listeners that are way out in the world that may not be able to necessarily access the 12-week program now? Mm-hmm. What would you say to them should be their next steps to get themselves in line with the mapping process?
Yeah, and next steps are always the choice to heal. First is choosing to do it, finding that motivation within you to change and to transform and heal, requesting help, asking for help, is we talked about earlier, understanding there's a problem, I need help, asking for help, and continuing to seek the resources that you need for that. And I truly believe wherever you are in life, whatever you're doing, when you ask for help, you will receive the next step. You will. I believe that. I truly do. And I feel wherever you are at, you have exactly what you need for your next step. Mm-hmm. Right? I do 100%. And if MAP is something that you're called to, go check it out. Go to mindalignmentprocess.org, check it out. there's a free consult. You can come talk to us and we can like literally help you with like, hey, let's figure out what the next step is for you. This is a good fit, if this is not a good fit. And like, if you don't have internet or on our line or don't have that kind of thing, you don't just sit with yourself and practice those basic things that like science has given us that tell us, support us, breathing techniques, calm down your nervous system, right? Meditate, eat, sleep, like do those basic things to support yourself. And then move into what you have around you to support you on the next step. And you will be given whatever that is. Like 100% I believe that to be true because I've experienced it in my own life.
Yes, exactly. I remember I didn't have money for therapy when I became aware of the levels of trauma. I was need me. That was just the level where I just needed help. Like you said, I needed help. And so I became part of a community. We were Purpose, Passion, Peace, and we would have these weekends that we did every quarter. And that was, of course, we had therapists there too, but a lot of who I've become as far as growing in my healing started there. Hey, my P3 family, and my life just kind of went up from there. It looked like it was all falling apart for a second. And for someone who's watching from the outside, it's like, what are you doing? You're like literally walking through your house and ripping up the carpet. Who does that, right? No, I'm letting go of what no longer served me, because what we do with trauma is we create habits and ways of thinking, being, and doing to protect ourselves from a reoccurrence. So we end up living life on a defense versus offense. For simplicity, Dr. Ellis talks about that a lot. And so defense looks like, well, I'm going to go to the event, but I'm not going to talk to people.
Yes.
People, or I'm going to talk to people, but I'm not going to let them know who I really am, what I care about, because then they might hurt me. I'm going to date and be in a relationship with a man. However, I would never let him get too close to me. Can't have my heart. I will do all the things. We'll take vacation and all that. And that's where the unsettled piece comes up that we talk about, because you are protecting yourself from a reoccurrence. And my thing is, ish is going to happen. Like Dr. Chrissy said, when she went into combat zone, she knew what she was getting into, but still nothing could prepare her for what was going to happen. Could you imagine you as a 5-year-old, as a 2-year-old, as a 10-year-old, as a 13, 17, 18, 30-year-old, thinking that this is going to go this way, but some way it just goes completely awry and it goes different. That is you're experiencing trauma. And again, Chrissy and I might be in the room when this all happens and we're like, oh, okay. And we move on. We don't even remember. And that day is such a pivotal day for you. It keeps coming back. And as soon as you see any resemblance of it, you go, oh, and it could look like you lash out. It could look like you
shut down.
Right?
Freeze.
You freeze, whatever that is, you just do not function normally. And your thinking is sort of impeded or crippled, like an alcohol, like a person who just drank all night at the bar and trying to drive home. Can't see anything. Barrel is open. Think they're awake, but they're not. Right. You don't want that life for yourself. That is where, when I hear about cooperative issues, and I created a program that I haven't launched yet. It's called Healed to Lead, H2L, and it's H, the number 2L, but the core of it is like, I can't help you to be a better leader or have straighten out your organization without you looking at within.
Yeah.
That in leadership is for you.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. Go ahead, Dr. Chris.
No, I love this. I love what you're saying. I think being like a wounded leader it can be so unhealthy for an organization. When you as a leader aren't willing to look at what's going on within you, you're like, I've ran into this so much in the military, like a lot. It's like, I think that there's still a stigma around trauma, and like there's a lot of people who hold it in because they don't want to deal with the politics of it or the secondary tertiary effects they feel it's going to come from it. And they lead from a traumatic space. Whether you're doing that as a leader, you're doing that as a parent, you're doing that as a teacher, or wherever you're a coworker, that causes strain on relationships.
Yes.
And when you have strain on relationships like that, because you've got all of these things going on inside of you, but you're presenting this like mirror, you're presenting this like collected front, but like you're shut down inside, you're freezing inside, you're uncomfortable, insecure, whatever feeling, shame, whatever's going on within you isn't being addressed. It's just being suppressed. It's gonna come out. It's going to come out in a lashing, in a crying session. It's going to come out, and you're not going to be able to control when that happens over time. And so, like, I think it's really important to look at your relationships in life and feel like, does this fill me up? Does this give to me, or is this taking from me? Am I anxious in this relationship? Do I want to be here? Like, are these the things I want to do? Is this where I want my life to go? Like, look at all the relationships in your life, every single one of them, and feel into whether they feel good or not, whether you're receiving back from the relationship you're in. Are you in a traumatic, toxic relationship because you're just giving, 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 and you're depleted as all get out, and like no one around you gives anything? You're just constantly giving. That's a trauma response. Like, it really is. So like, and I think a lot of women specifically don't understand that that's a trauma response, right? Like, to give, and deplete yourself to such extreme degrees.
Such a trauma response.
Get sick that, you shut down, that like that happens because you're afraid of something, whether you're afraid of not being valued, whether you're afraid of somebody's going to abandon you, whatever's going on there, you need that. That's not healthy, but it's been so normalized that it's like not, there's a whole thing not getting addressed.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just it bleeds in everywhere.
Every relationship.
Everywhere. With my journey, and I talk about this a lot every now and then on the podcast, is it created disease in my soul that caused disease in my body. And that's research. I just got a hold of that info about how much more women who have been experiencing trauma and has not handled or taken care of it, how it causes us high levels of autoimmune diseases, anywhere from Hashimoto's, which is one that I am always managing, and lupus and arthritis and you name it, a lot of these. And the doctors will tell you that, like, when they diagnosed me with Hashimoto's, they're like, you were probably born with it.
Wow.
But at one point I was like, I was not because I was fine. And then these things happened, right? And then this starts, and they're like, oh yeah, it could be dormant. But when you talk about DNA, because what I realized is that I have a cousin on this side and a cousin over here and a cousin over there that has Hashimoto's. And we started getting diagnosed with it earlier. I had a cousin, he got diagnosed at like 11 with Hashimoto's. I didn't get diagnosed until I was like 34. Then I had another cousin, she got diagnosed with it at like 21. And then there's some others who are in other parts of the world where that diagnosis is harder to come by, but they're suffering with it. And we're all on the same side of the family, right? Which tells me now, with my understanding of genetics and DNA, that's what it is we have it in our DNA, but based on our experiences, and some of them in utero, right? Mm-hmm. Some of your trauma happened in utero.
Yeah.
100%. It's a whole nother episode. It now attaches it to you quickly and it manifests. Wow. So for me, there's that spiritual work, then there's the practical work, because a lot of it I ain't coming for nobody who practices religion. Don't get me wrong. I'm a follower of Christ too. That's what I say. I don't say I'm a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim. I'm a follower of Christ and his teachings. However, I want to let you know that you cannot pray the trauma away.
Yeah.
You've got to take steps. Even the Bible says faith without works is dead. So I just want to preach there for a little bit for all my wonderful Christians who avoid dealing and working through trauma in a tangible, systematic approach and just think you're going to go pray. You keep repeating that cycle. Do it. If you don't like yourself, fine. For those women who love to be self-sacrificing, do it for your children. Let's start there. You'll figure out what you're asking. Yeah. Do it for your children.
Find that inspired place to seek it for yourself, because I think it's really important to note that from a from a DNA genetic space, when you heal, you're healing your ancestral line, which includes your great grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, and your children. And so like you heal it for that entire ancestral line, which is so incredibly powerful.
Yes.
And like we in MAP have like parents, and then they'll send their kids through because they're like, hey, listen, we need help.
Sooner the better.
Yes, the sooner the better. Let's knock this out, because they've gone through and they were like, yeah, can you work with my kids? So we do have minors in the program, and like, yeah, of course, with parental consent. Like, yeah, we will help anyone, and I think it's really important that like parents know that you're going to do the best you can. But I don't think you can ever stop your kids from experiencing trauma, but you can support your kids in healing it
and having the tools to repeatedly heal it when it does come up.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. And like 100%, I think like that's a loving parent.
Yes, that's what you do, because you want them to have the things you didn't have. And one of the things you didn't have was a process to heal yourself.
Absolutely.
So give them that. It's so easy for us to give them a pair of Nikes and make sure they have more than enough food in the pantry, and make sure they go to the best schools. But we don't realize that one of my friends, my Peace Corps friends, Amy, gave me a plaque when I was younger. And I believe that would have been it just so right for me. And I think she knew that, because I was always about mind sciences and mindset. And she said, the best wings you can give your children is a way how to think.
Yes.
And so this is part of their thinking tool, is how do I work through dealing with adverse events in my life? Because that's what I call trauma for anyone. It's an adverse event. Adverse meaning you can't move through it readily. You can't process it readily. You find yourself stuck on repeat with it. Right. And defending because of that occurrence. For me, that's my own layman's definition. Of course, there's all the right definitions for it scientifically, but I'm pretty sure you got that when I said it, which is why
I know. I completely agree. Like I think everyone experiences that, and understanding that's what trauma is really important. Having a diagnosis such as post-traumatic stress, that's a medical diagnosis.
That's when it's at its worst.
You don't have trauma.
When you get diagnosed with it, it's so hard to be able to get diagnosed with PTSD.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole process.
That's when it's really bad.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole process. But like to know that like you can have trauma and not have PTSD, I think is really important. And also, you said something that really hit with me, and it's like when you have that toolkit for your kids, if you don't even know that you're emotionally shut down because you weren't taught how to process emotions. My husband moves through that. He just saw something that really clicked with him the other day. And it was a little thing on like, one of the social media sites, but it said, if you grew up with an emotionally shut down parent and an emotionally unstable parent, it's the most tragic and traumatizing situation. And that's what he had, a very emotional unstable and emotional shut down. So there was a lot of neglect. There was a lot of like playing small. There was a lot of like trying to stay out of the way.
Keep up.
Please, and keep up. So like you don't cause like walking on eggshells. So you don't cause a reaction, all of those things. And I was like, wow, that's really profound. And so like, I think parents do have the responsibility to heal what's going on with them so that they can parent from a place of a healed state of peace and love and support, and emotionally, not just physically. Like the Nikes are great, but to have a loving, emotionally intelligent parent, so much more important in my opinion than those pair of shoes. I think like that's huge. And it's something that I think a lot of people want to be. They just have to have that invitation to just come and try it out, come and see, like check it out. You're not alone. There's no judgment. We just want to help you live a better life. No one's judging whatever's going on. We're going to help you. Exactly. Right. That's what it's about. It's about coming into peace within yourself. And nothing's too small if it's affecting your life.
Please understand that.
Yeah.
Nothing that's too small. And it doesn't matter how anybody else thinks or feel about it. Yeah. What matters is how you're experiencing it, and you come into the point where you're able to release it and live above it. That's it, simply. And that was one of the biggest things for me, is how can I? And what's wrong with me that, this person was here when this was happening and they don't think that way. Something's got to be wrong with me. besides realizing that I'm empathic, highly sensitive, and I don't say that lightly because a lot of us make reference to that. But my body does something weird when I'm unsettled. And it could be too because of my journey, my trauma. Like I remember in my mid to late 20s, any person who was authoritative, demanding, and bossy and pushy. Now I'm a grown woman. I live in my own space. I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, you're not going to talk to me like, what do you mean? Obviously, because everybody else around here is fine with that. But for me, it was re-emphasizing my trauma that I had not healed yet, right? But I knew I wasn't going to take more of it. That's all I had. That's all I had at that point. So I was going to put my boundaries down, and that was good because Oprah and everybody else was online back in that time era talking a lot about boundaries and stop being a yes sir and a yes ma'am. You know, if it doesn't align with you, don't, you know. So I was getting that, and I became pretty good at it, but still the conflict, because after I walk away from that conversation, I was traumatized, and I also felt like I might have let someone down, and I couldn't process that you did a good job protecting yourself and that you are safe. I didn't have that. So again, that was me trying to figure things out with my learning and growing process. But when you have specific tools like MAP, then you're able, now where I'm at now is when I see people who emphasize a certain way of being and doing, I'm not triggered. I'm aware that, oh, this is what this is. That must be where they're at. And I'm able to decide, well, do I want to be how do I want to be in relationship with this person or this environment? Yes. And now I'm like, okay, well, it's fine because I just needed to come in, do this and focus. So I'm fine. I'm still safe.
Right.
Or I can be like, oh, okay. God love you. Peace, love, light, and blessing. I'm out.
Peace. Right. Yeah. No, I love that. Like I wasn't raised with boundaries. I was not raised in a home that like understood or honored boundaries in any way. Yeah. And so like, as I learned those, I was like, whoa, this is like life changing. Like I can say no to things. I can put boundaries up and it shouldn't be offensive to anyone that like I'm saying things right.
And if it is, I don't really.
Oh, well, that's their shit. They have to deal with that. Right? Like that's their stuff. But like, yeah, I think that what you said about the ruminating after an event, I used to spend so much energy ruminating and like going over a conversation that was never going to happen. And just like what I would say or how I would handle it. Like that's a trauma response. Like I don't do that at all anymore. And I would remember thinking, I used to spend so much of my energy rounding around an interaction with somebody and like what I would say or what I should have said or what I should have done. And then like what I was going to do if they were going to talk to me about it again, which they never did. Right.
Yeah. And they forgot even.
They're not even thinking about it, but I'm sitting in it. Like that was all the time for me prior to that. And like what an energy leak, right? Like what an immense energy leak. So yeah, I think that's a huge one that's everyone, that's normal, like that happens. But when you heal what's actually causing it anymore,
you don't,
it's gone. Right. And so like, I think that's a really important lesson to learn is that a lot of the behaviors you might not even know they're not normal or that they're trauma responses because
you're surrounded by a bunch of other people who say to you, I do that too. Yeah. That's kind of how it is when you go through all that stuff. Yeah, that's what you do. And that's how you.
Yeah, that's trauma bonding, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it's good to relate and know that you're not alone, but like you also want to move out of it. Like no one needs
signing it and sealing it as a way of your modus operandum is not safe.
Exactly. Like not okay. Yeah. 100%.
My gosh, that's funny. We have such a good time. This is definitely a 2-part episode. I'm loving it. As you've helped so many others walk through the healing journey, what has been some of the most memorable transformations you've witnessed? I mean, tell us some of those stories.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Okay. So I love MAP so much for this because we see this all of the time. And like when you're mapping somebody and they have this moment and it happens in every session, like they have this moment where they don't feel it anymore and they smile, they'll start crying, they'll not believe it, and they just look and they're like, it doesn't have a charge. And I'm like, that's good, that's what we're here for. And like they'll like the relief they feel It's like a miracle every single time. Like it really is. And we have on our website tons of experiences, people like who have released their testimonials of their life-changing experiences with MAP. I think some of them are just so incredibly profound. You know, there's been clinical psychologists who have come through and said, you know, this compassion fatigue, always experiencing this for my clients. It's completely gone. I can be completely present with them now. Like I'm not holding on to anything that's going through them. I'm just supporting them. And I have the space to support them. We've dealt with a lot of clients who have had sexual trauma from childhood, from teenage to adulthood, and to help them move through that so they don't have to hold it anymore. And they know that, you know, there's like, you know, they're not responsible for what that person chose to do. They're only responsible for living their life and healing and seeing them let it go, seeing them create space in their life, seeing them move on to have a healthy relationship with a partner. It's an incredibly rewarding life.
That is a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Dr. Chrissy. So I noted here me and my partner in the last 2 weeks, the images on social media of families being ripped apart, young children being dragged one way, mom the other way, dad the other way. As here in America, there's that deportation process.
Yeah.
We're not aiming to discuss politics, but politics and is not the political, is the effect of decision making and leadership is what we're looking at and how it's affecting us mentally. I found me and my partner both realized we found ourselves at different times, grown man and woman, filled with compassion, of course, just sad. We are even been tears. We realized that we don't want to numb ourselves out and pretend it's not happening. That's a trauma response. But we also realized we needed to step away from the imagery repeatedly and really get within ourselves, because now we felt like we need to take care of ourselves. To people all over the world, whether they're in the USA, whether they're US based, they're American, they're living somewhere, whatever, are these images another type of trauma, number one? And how can we tap into the MAP as a resource?
100% yes. Seeing those images can cause and will cause, frankly, trauma. So there is some research. There's a book I read when I was in the military. It's called On Killing. And it was a book specifically on the psychological. I had to do a book report for, I don't know, I was a captain or something. But it was specifically a book that discussed the psychological effects of killing at different ranges. So one of them would be like direct, one of them would be like in a helicopter. One of the case studies was on like on a hill. The other case study was like you didn't even know if it was you. You were just with a group shooting in a direction, right? This is all military talk, but just trust the process. And so then there was one on an operator who was watching the battle in the talk. And in the case study was on her watching everyone shooting other people and like that experience of monitoring the battle. And she actually had some of the most severe trauma out of all of them because she felt helpless in the experience.
Yes.
And so what you're communicating and what you're seeing with these images that are moving you and causing this experience in you is because at some level you feel helpless in what's going on with them. You're so distant from the actual physical execution. But in truth, because of your empathy and your ability to connect with consciousness, you feel those feelings because we are this little spiritual woo-woo, but we are one.
We are.
And so like, yeah, absolutely. We are one. So like
to all of us,
happening to all of us. Right. And so what you can do is first not choose what's going on there and say, no, I don't choose this for me or them. This is not something I choose in my life. The same with like what goes on in China with babies. I don't choose that. I don't choose that. I don't think it's appropriate. And I just say no to it. No, I don't think it's appropriate that if it's not the particular sex, it should be terminated. I don't agree with that.
Right.
No. I'm not ignoring that it's going on. I'm communicating my choice and I don't choose a world of that. You know, I respect the human body. And so like, you can say no and and say no to that experience that they're having and say, I don't choose this in my life. I don't choose this for me or my brothers and sisters. Then probably one of the most difficult components is honoring that is their experience that they have, that they're moving through for whatever reason on their journey, which that's easy to say when it's something easy on our journeys, but it's a lot more difficult to like swallow when it's something so severe. But like that is something that is true, that's, you know, they've called that in on their journey for whatever reason, and they have to do that. Yeah.
I
But
just would not have applied it there. You
right.
had said that. And this is why it's so important to be with experts who have the expertise in an area. Because all the things I know, I would not put, of course, I denounce it and I have my, but that piece is so important because I do it for my own life. That when something tragic or bad happens, it's that all of this is working out for my good and for the purpose for which I am sent or I am here on earth.
Yeah.
For the purpose. You see, purpose does not have the only thing you have control of is you. So how that's set up, and like you said, we could probably go woo for some people. You don't have to accept how we see it, but what Dr. Chrissy and I is saying that there's an assignment on our lives before we come into our mother's womb and we're born into this world. And look, if you're a Christian and you're listening, you think it's woo-woo, go check the Bible. It says, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you, I formed you, and I had a plan for you, one that will prosper you. So if you're Christian, everything about what I'm saying here, if you're a Bible reader, is actually in the Bible. So we not gonna argue because I don't do arguments, but I'm telling you that that's my reference point. So when we go into this woo-woo stuff, it's not woo-woo after all. As a matter of fact, they have a part for it in the Bhagavad Gita, and they have a part for it in the Quran. And I'm telling you because I know I researched it. I am I'm a biblical scholar. I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and a lot of people don't know this. Several years ago, about 18 years ago, in biblical studies. I got all that going on. Then I grew up in a tri-faith environment in my country, Guyana, where all the religions are part of our community. So we know things, right? But what I'm saying to you is understand I could not, Chrissy, put that very important piece and language, because that language changes my thinking right as you said it. And I took it in. So if I am going through, you just got me 2 steps. What else you got for me? Because I got 2 powerful steps to help myself move through this particular traumatic experience that for many of us is going unnoticed, that it is trauma.
It is. Yeah. And there's research that proves that it's traumatic because the case study with this girl, she was feeling everything she was seeing because she was so empathic and so emotionally connected. And that shut her down. She was she didn't understand how that could be trauma because she wasn't there. So in her mind, this can't be trauma because I wasn't on the ground, but it was for her. And it was just as traumatic, if not more, than what the guys on the ground were experiencing. And so I think it's again really important to honor how you feel of a certain situation and honor the feelings that you're having and know you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you have help. There is help out there for whatever you're moving through. And it all starts with your power of choice and just simply being willing to honor and understand the truth. Are you willing to honor the truth in basic logical reasoning? That's something we do in MAP. Before any client moves through MAP, we ask them a series of questions to ensure that MAP is a good fit for them. And that's one of the questions. Will you honor the truth and logical reasoning? And that it's important to choose that because that it is the truth. We believe and science has proven that everyone manifests their situation.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't accept that because of the situation, but it still renders truth, whether you perceive it as good or bad. That's a truth that's been proven scientifically.
And manifestation, again, is one of those words that people get and think woo about. What manifestation really is, it's what you're able to, again, it goes back to my think, speak, do, become principle, where whatever you're thinking, as a result of what you feel and what you experience, whatever becomes your thought, that is the programming. If you want to move away from a scientific word, that is the marching orders you're giving yourself subconsciously, unconsciously. So now, okay, we get up in the morning, we already know we're going to go to work. We already know what route we're going to take. It's the same thing because you already made a plan, you already thought about it, you've already done it, so you already know it. The same way, your brain does not know the difference between a real image or an actual thing you've done. So when you give it information that, you know what, this relationship is going to end up she's going to cheat on me. She's going to cheat on me. Everything about your reality becomes she's going to cheat on me. And I tell people we all will own the phrase manifestation and building my life for all the positive things that we receive. But the negative things that we receive, we don't ever think we manifested. I just told my partner yesterday, I said, I manifested this negative experience or this adverse experience, this experience that is not working for me and it's not great. But because of a traumatic experience that I had in this arena, without taking attention and healing it, I ended up recreating it because I'm walking around with the image in my head that this is how this ends up.
Yes. And that's how you manifest the cycle of experiences. Yeah.
For money, for pain, for joy, for riches, for everything. Dr. Chrissy, what would you say that as a person who might be questioning whether or not I do have some levels of trauma? I've never done therapy. I haven't done mapping. I haven't done anything. How do I know that there's trauma in my life? Subconscious or conscious?
That's a really good question. I think that one is that you'll experience the same unwanted cycles consistently, consistently in your life. For me, for example, like my love life, my relationships were like really constantly toxic. And I had to look at it because it wasn't what I wanted. And I had to honor there was something going on with me, which led me to an immense amount of healing in relationships and understanding love and like, really redefining what that is and what healthy is, right? I think that if you are some basic ones would be like you get like really angry and explode nowhere. People are having to walk on eggshells around you because you're constantly exploding in anger and in violence. That could be a pretty common sign in men with trauma. I think women in trauma also have that temperament issue where they'll like just explode. They also could shut down and like just, shut down and cry and need to be alone, have a physical response of shaking when they're just, in their room for a while. For me, like you said it earlier, that sound, you'd have that sound and you would have a trigger. Like, for me, for a long time, it was the helicopters because I was deployed with a helicopter unit. So like anytime I had helicopters, I would have like an immediate unnatural response to it. Or even if I woke up and saw the fan in my room, like going, I'd be like, oh, and I would immediately think I was back in Iraq. And so like, those are examples where you immediately think you're somewhere you're not. And you're like, oh no, I'm here, right? Your consciousness is going back to something that you just might not be ready for. Some people might have complete blackouts where they don't remember anything prior to 10 years old, or like they're completely blacked out. They just don't remember. That's most likely because your mind has shut it down for your safety because like you feel so unsafe in processing what happened that, you have it turned off. There's so many different experiences. You can definitely Google it. There's a lot out there to like help people in identifying, just basic trauma responses. I think instant gratification, you're constantly shopping or you're constantly looking for something to kind of feel better on is one. Financial situations often come with it, gambling or trying to like avoid by doing something else. Workaholics, like people who are just like constantly on the edge because the minute you relax your mind is when the trauma comes up. So you keep yourself on the edge specifically to not deal with what's going on. Those are all some indicators that there might be trauma going on.
Man, so good. So good. So good. And so many people I know in the US, we're a little bit more aware of trauma. But a lot of times as I work on the global front, a lot of the people, like we had a men's event last month and the feedback from people just watching us on social media and stuff is that they didn't know. So a lot of people in other countries, trauma is not even a thing.
That's very true. We actually have MAP. We have MAP in Spanish, German, and Hindi. So we just opened the Spanish wing, was the last one we opened about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And we absolutely love having practitioners with different language skills to support multiple countries. It is 100% a worldwide issue.
Yeah. I mean, golly, I think that when things are the norm of a society or a community, we think that it could never be traumatic. It's just the way it is. But it might not be for some, but it could be for others. Dr. Chrissy, as we wrap up our wonderful 2-part series, I want you to give you the space to pour into someone listening. Maybe they're feeling broken or numb. Nothing has worked for them. We've been there. What's your mindset by one powerful shift to remind them they can carry with them starting today? I'm going to step away from this camera and this microphone, and it's all you.
No matter what you've been through, I truly believe MAP can help you heal it. Like I've said, our preliminary data suggests that MAP is the world's most effective trauma healing modality. Just imagine going from that constant, intrusive, traumatic memory to a sense of calm, peace, control. It is possible, and it is for anyone who's ready to have that. I was there. I was in the space of not having any support, feeling so out of control of my own mind and what was going on with me. And MAP is what worked for me. It works for so many people. By week 12, 70% of our clients are no longer experiencing flashbacks at all. And for those who do, the memories no longer carry the same emotional weight. They're not charged anymore. They're no longer overwhelming, just memories, and they're no longer running the show. That's what MAP does best. It helps you truly move on from trauma and step into the life you've been longing for. So if you're feeling that isolated and numb and exhausted, shut down, overwhelmed, angry that we've been talking about today, you can have a shift within days. Most clients feel a shift right away, and within weeks, overall quality of life is going up. When you heal trauma at the core, your life keeps getting better. MAP isn't just about feeling okay with what happened. It's about experiencing a deep, long-lasting shift in your entire life. And that's what we do by the end of the program. We support so many people in a stronger sense of themselves, and they're caring for themselves in ways that they never could before. Learn more and check out testimonials and preliminary data at mindalignmentprocess.org.
And we are absolutely going to have all the details in the description wherever you're watching this and listening to this. Even if it's a clip, we're going to have this, because if it's one thing we need right now in the world, are the tools to help ourselves heal so we can be better, do better, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us and with us. Dr. Chrissy, I want to ask you, what's your favorite way for us to connect with you? And
yes, for MAP, mindalignmentprocess.org, you can check it out there, contact us. And yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me, is through that contact form for sure.
Absolutely. And we're going to share Dr. Chrissy's recent article on MAP. That was also very, very powerful. You get some more insight. But the best way, just go ahead and if you're just a little bit curious, and just book a call. And
yeah, they're free. Free consultation.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah. That's the best part. Like, you don't have a reason to not do a free call. I don't get it. I'll be doing a free call because I want to figure out how I can add MAP to my own personal toolbox and into the processes that I use and modalities that I use. All modalities need an upgrade or processes. I have different programs that I coach on, and I believe this is so important to just be able to use it with my clients, and then they can obviously take the whole training as part of our process with Dr. Chrissy, but I'm going to go through it myself first. So listen, Disruptors, we are just so happy that you joined us for this 2-part episode, Dr. Chrissy. We are so grateful for all this information and for importantly, for the work you're doing in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Woo, family, we're rich. If you've ever felt that you were carrying something that's become way too heavy, I hope today reminded you that there is another way. Peace is possible, and your nervous system deserves their release, not just for survival. You can learn more, of course, about Dr. Chrissy's work at mindalignmentprocess.org. And if no one told you today, your healing matters. You're not alone, and the breakthrough is already whispering. That's what made you and brought you to this episode anyway. You just need the courage to listen. And until next time, keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become. I'm Dr. Alisa and my co-host today, Dr. Chrissy Emerick, saying we'll see you next time on Mindset Master Moments. Bye now.
Bye-bye.